Hello, I'm Warren, and this is the Jank Bank on the Mended Drum. This week we're going to be playing with a mechanic that I don't particularly like, and that's dice rolling from Strixhaven. I don't hate it because I have to go out now and buy d20s. In fact, I've got Dungeon Master's Guides over there and already own d20s. I just hate it because I think it's a complexity that the game didn't need, and it's one that works better on Arena than in paper. It's frustrating having to roll a bunch of dice before you can resolve effects. It really is. I don't know whether anybody else is still playing paper, but that's the way I feel. And it's even more frustrating when you find out that actually there's an infinite dice roll mechanic, like combo, in Strixhaven itself. Infinite dice rolls. This isn't an infinite combo like Magic is used to having, where you develop a lock and it's guaranteed to happen every single time over and over again, creating, say, an infinite number of tokens. No, this is one where technically you'd have to roll the dice every single time to make the effect happen. Can you imagine doing that in a tournament? I can't. So just what is the combo? Well, the combo involves a card called Delina Wild Mage, who copies creatures whenever she attacks. On a roll of 0 to 14, you copy one creature, create a token of it that goes away at the end of combat, and move on. On a roll of 15 and above, though, you copy a creature and roll again. The other part of the combo is Pixie Guide. Now, what Pixie Guide does is it's a 1/3 flyer for 2 mana, but whenever you roll a dice, it allows you to roll 2 instead and keep the higher one. So just how many Pixie Guides do we have to have in play and attacking to make sure that Delina always rolls 15 and above? That has to be a thing, right? It has to be a possibility. And if we're copying the Pixie Guides, then each time Delina rolls to see if she gets to make another token and carry on rolling, the chances get better. Well, there are better ways as well to strengthen that combo, but let's take a look at the deck itself. The first card that strengthens that combo is Barbarian Class, which at level 1 lets you roll additional dice. Levels 2 and 3 are also great for this deck, and good places to sink extra mana if you have it. Pixie Guide though is one of the main pieces, and the one we really need to get out onto the table if we want to go infinite, because that's the one that Delina's going to be copying. There are a lot of things to stall the game and to draw extra cards to get you that combo. Treasure Chest obviously does both by getting you life and drawing you cards. Magic Missile picks off small creatures. Then you've got the Planeswalkers Rowan, Scholar of Sparks, and the flip side Will, Scholar of Frost, which will help deal some extra damage and lower the cost of your instants and sorceries. Scion of Stygia locks up the opposing player's creatures and gives you extra time. It combos nicely with Feywild Trickster, who will give you an extra little pixie every time you lock somebody's creature down, meaning you can now block their next attack as well. Always about slowing things down until the combo is in place. Contact the other plane is a lovely way to both roll dice and fill your hand with cards. Farida Devil's Chosen is really not necessary in the deck, but again is lovely to get as long as you can start drawing extra cards. Swarming Goblins will block a lot of the opponent's creatures until you're ready to go off. But there she is, Delina Wild Mage, the main part of this combo. As you can see, she works just as described. 1 to 14, you create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature, and 15 to 20, you create one of those tokens and roll again. It's that 15 to 20 that is critical for our combo. The land's really unimportant. Islands, mountains, a combination of both. So by the law of averages, if we're rolling 4 dice, one of them should be 15 or higher. But, that's obviously not guaranteed. Let's give it a shot and see how it actually works in practice.
Alright, this is not a terrible hand because it's got 2 Barbarian Classes in it and a Feywild Trickster, but it doesn't have any of our combo pieces or enough lands, so we're going to have to hope we get a little bit lucky as things go on. We've got a lot of ways to slow things down though. The Scion and the Feywild Trickster should be plenty for keeping them at bay. He's only got 1 card left in hand, but he does have that Quandrix Prodigy who can draw him more. So we're just slowing things down. There's a contact other plane there, which will hopefully find us some of our combo pieces. The Bubble Snare, good. We can't tackle the Feywild Trickster, but we can still create pixies. And there's our pixie guide. So now we're just waiting for Delina while he fills up his hand. And there's Delina. Right, now our creatures have got haste, which means that Delina can go off as soon as we've got enough land. And that's ideally what you want to do, because Delina is, well, she's not going to last very long on the table. Her biggest weakness is the fact that she has to sit out for a turn before she can start working her magic. If you can avoid that with the barbarian class, that really helps. So we're just waiting for the next turn now, in which we hope that finally Delina will be able to copy the pixie guide and really go for it. Let's hope the combo goes off. He's used his Blizzard Brawl, but he's used it wrong. Alright, let's go for it. He's tapped out. And we get our first one off. And our second. And our third. This should now be enough. But obviously this is a thing that Arena's easy. You just click a button. Try and do this with paper. Remember, because of the barbarian classes, each of our creatures are getting +2, +0, and menace as well. So it's really going to finish him off. It's very kind of him to let us finish killing him. He hasn't conceded. There you are. That's the first victory. Alright, our second hand, we've got a pixie guide and a barbarian class as well as a Feywild trickster. So our first 3 turns are sorted. We just need a Delina. We've got contact other plane. We don't even need it. There's Delina Wild Mage on the draw. Pixie guide is down now. We are playing against red though, and red, obviously the direct damage, they can pick off a pixie guide or they can pick off a Delina very easily. So there is a big threat. Ideally, we would want the haste caused by the barbarian class so that Delina doesn't have to sit out for a whole turn waiting to get blown away by the red. Okay, there's another barbarian class, which of course improves our odds of that first pixie guide going off. I think the thing about Feywild Trickster in the deck, I think the main strength of Feywild Trickster seems to be the fact that people think that it's the main threat. They don't look at, and there we go, that proves my point. They don't really look at the pixie guide. Relic Robber is going to set us up for a bit of a clock. So we really do need to get moving now. As I say, ideally we want to get it to the point where Delina comes down with haste, but we've now just lost our pixie guide, which is going to slow us down some. We're going to need to deal with that Relic Robber before it gets too serious. Fortunately, we've got a magic missile. That will give us a little bit more time. The Rimrock Knight comes down. Now it's got the Morning Star. Here's a Feywild Trickster. If we can just get the dice rolling now, perhaps we can block the Rimrock Knight for a bit. We do only have 9 life left. The nice thing about a Feywild Trickster is if you do manage to get a couple of rolls going your way, which we seem to have, then it'll generate quite a few pixies for us. And those pixies are great for blocking, and that should be enough now because this Vortex will take care of him, and does. And our next hand looks solid. We've got a Feywild Trickster, we've got a Scion to block things up, we've got a Delina. We're now just waiting for our Pixie Guide and hopefully a Barbarian class to really reinforce things a bit. Our opponent seems to be taking his time. There's a Barbarian class, so now it's just about that Pixie Guide. Let's get the Feywild Trickster down, tricking them into believing that it's important rather than the Pixie Guide. And you see, this is now where the Scion of Stygia comes in handy. So the best time to obviously use the Scion is during their upkeep phase, because they can't do anything about it, and it means there's an extra turn of it being tapped down. And that Pixie that now gets created can block it the turn after it untaps. But we still want to see our Pixie Guide so that we can combo off. And there it is. I should be playing lottery this week. Basically just calling everything. So now the trick is to get Barbarian class to the point where it's giving haste and then drop Delina. Because this again, it's a red-green deck, so chances are it's got creature destruction. And we do not want it destroying either the Pixie Guide or the Delina Wild Mage in the turn that we wait. There's another Delina, so maybe it can in fact just destroy our Delina for us. Right, here we go. Let's try. Well, there's 115 there, and a 20, and the odds are going up. Oh! Alright, seems we didn't get our combo that time. I thought once we were past the point of having 2 Pixie Guides, I thought, that's gonna work for sure. But at least we've got a few blockers to deal with these things. Of course he's gonna kill our Delina, but luckily we've got a second Delina. What a time to be alive. Hopefully we don't fail a second time with Delina. Once Delina's worked 2 or 3 to bring 2 or 3 Pixie Guides out, the odds are really not looking bad for you in terms of... And we win!
As you can see, the combo is actually pretty reliable. It goes off quite a lot. The only real problem is trying to last long enough to get all the pieces together onto the table and make sure that you have a high enough percentage odd when you do attack with Delina to make sure that it works. If you like the video, if you like these kind of strange shenanigans, then please click the actual like button itself, share or subscribe. You can also, if you're a crazy person, hit the bell to receive notifications whenever we publish a new video. Otherwise, we will see you next week on the Jank Bank.